For the 600th video, I would like to review Doublethink, 1984's one of the main concepts in that book, written by George Orwell's Doublethink. I'll go ahead and read this out to you. Doublethink is the act of simultaneously accepting two mutually contradictory beliefs as correct, often in distinct social contexts. Doublethink is related to, but differs from, hypocrisy and neutrality. Also related is cognitive dissonance, in which contradictory beliefs cause conflict in one's mind. Doublethink is notable due to a lack of cognitive dissonance. Thus, the person is completely unaware of any conflict or contradiction. This is essentially, from what I've seen, the purpose of organizations that become very cult-like, is to make sure that their students or their followers can somehow get rid of the cognitive dissonance in their brain. That way, if there is something that causes a dissonance, they know how to crush it by getting rid of the cognitive dissonance altogether without having to rationalize at all. And I can see this a lot in the beliefs of how planets are formed. It's even in simple papers as recent as October of 2016. In this paper I found on the archive called Challenges in Planet Formation. It says here, in the abstract, over the past 2 decades, large strides have been made in the field of planet formation. Okay, so large strides have been made. And then in the introduction it goes, the origins of planets is a vast, complex, and still quite mysterious subject. So they say they've been making a lot of progress, and they say we haven't made much progress, it's still mysterious. So they hold 2 contradictory beliefs at the same time. And there's another contradiction, another doublethink in here. It's all over the place when you learn how to spot it. Despite decades of space exploration, ground-based observatories, and detailed analysis of meteorites and cometary grains, and in parentheses it says, the only space samples available in our laboratories, it is still not clear how the planets of the solar system formed. They say the only space samples available in the laboratories. I call it laboratory. Really? The only space samples? Earth is in outer space. Picking up dirt is picking up a space sample. So there's a doublethink there too. They say, well, Earth isn't really in outer space. The space samples come from outside of the Earth. So they hold 2 mutually exclusive, 2 contradictory beliefs with where they find their samples to begin with and how they view the Earth. It's no wonder why they don't know how planets are formed. There's so much doublethink here, it's ridiculous. And I'll go ahead and rip into the graduate program and other types of organizations that have parallels to this. George Orwell created the word doublethink in his dystopian novel 1984, which was published in 1949. Doublethink is a part of Newspeak. In the novel, its origin within the typical citizen is unclear, while it could be partly a product of Big Brother's formal brainwashing programs, formalized education programs. It's basically what they do to graduate students. Once after you get your 4-year bachelor's, you're free to, go do whatever you want, but then you allow yourself to be formally brainwashed into a program where everybody thinks the same way and you all do the same song and dance. The novel explicitly shows people learning doublethink and newspeak due to peer pressure and a desire to fit in or gain status within the party, to be seen as a loyal party member. That's exactly what graduate students do when they get their astronomy and astrophysics degree. Instead of saying, well, we don't understand gravitation, They say we don't understand gravitation, and we know general relativity explains gravitation, so we understand gravitation. They do that a lot. They say this dark matter is out there, and that's what causes the galaxies to rotate the way they do. Yet we don't know if there's actual dark matter out there. We haven't ever found any of it. And the desire to fit in means you have to accept the doublethink. And the peer pressure is through the peer review system and the weeding out of the weak links. And they do that with copious amounts of math equations and the like. They're making you do a lot of research and mind-numbing activities to make sure that, you know, you're not thinking on your own, that you've accepted, or at least you've accepted not being able to have cognitive dissonance. It's weird because doublethink is one of those things where it's like, it kind of confuses you as you think about it. So I'm having a hard time understanding it, to be honest. But it's there. It's all over. You just gotta learn how to spot it. And last but not least, see, I'll go ahead and read this. It's a very powerful quote here. The power of holding two contradictory beliefs in one's mind simultaneously and accepting both of them, like the astronomers and astrophysicists, that's what they do, to tell deliberate lies while genuinely believing in them. That's what they've done with the LIGO measurements, with the detection of gravitational waves. They're deliberate lies, knowing full well that they're trying to tell themselves that they believe in them, but they know they're actually lying about it. It's a really strange phenomenon, and you know, to watch it from a third-party perspective is unreal. It's definitely an unreal experience. To forget any fact that has become inconvenient, and then, when it becomes necessary again, to draw it back from oblivion for just as long as it is needed, to deny the existence of objective reality, and all the while to take account of the reality which one denies. All this is indispensably necessary. Even in using the word doublethink, it is necessary to exercise doublethink. For by using the word, one admits that one is tampering with reality. By a fresh act of doublethink, one erases this knowledge, and so on indefinitely, with a lie always one leap ahead of the truth. So if you want to go into academia and astrophysics, you have to study history, study these books where it talks about dystopian societies, because the dystopian society, from what I've seen, it isn't large societies as a whole. It's little groups of societies, little communities, little in-groups, little crowds that adopt these types of principles, where they hold simultaneously contradictory beliefs, and there's nothing wrong. There's no cognitive dissonance there. So just pay attention to that stuff. You'll start to see it all over the place. It isn't just a fiction novel, man. This stuff's real. This stuff is actually happening. It's in our face every day. In politics, in the schooling system, in relationships with people, it's all over. I'm just applying it to planet formation because I'm working on a theory of star evolution, and, well, the doublethink is just glaring right at me like Medusa's head. Alright, y'all. Hopefully this is a good enough video, number 600. Take it easy.